Hey, good morning, y'all. Josh's Severe Weather. We've got a lot of winter weather to talk about here once again in many places in the South and Mid-South, as well as the Mid-Atlantic region. So let's get right to it. I hope y'all are having a great day and I hope you're being safe out there. So we are looking at a continual winter assault here in the same places we've been talking about all month. We started this month with severe weather. Now we're ending it with ice for many places. And when I say ice, I'm mainly concerned about freezing rain. Of course, there's some sleet in there and a little bit of snow as well. But this is the National Weather Service hazards map, and you can see a large area of purples, pinks, and magentas. And the pinks are winter storm warnings stretching from the Permian Basin of Texas into southwestern Arkansas, and also winter storm warnings for southeastern Missouri, southern Illinois, and the Ohio River up into the middle parts of Kentucky. Surrounding that, we have winter weather advisories, which are still impactful events here. Still winter weather, still some frozen precipitation, but lighter amounts than the area in pink. And that goes all the way from southeast New Mexico all the way up into the panhandle of well, not the panhandle of West Virginia, but central West Virginia and southwest Pennsylvania and western Maryland, as well as off of Lake Ontario in New York and across central Montana. You can't see it because I've got my headline there. And we do have uh, ice storm warnings over much of central Arkansas, northwestern Mississippi, and western Tennessee, as well as western parts of Texas as well. So a large area, we're talking millions of people here, especially Dallas, Fort Worth, Austin, Texas, San Antonio now included, San Angelo, all the way up into Cape Girardeau and Paducah. Kentucky, as well as Memphis, Little Rock, all being impacted. We also have flash flood watches in effect for East Texas and western and northern Louisiana, and a dense fog advisory encompassing about 8 states right now, from southeast Texas over into central Florida and up into North Carolina and southwest Virginia. So if you are traveling this morning, you're going to encounter a lot of hazards across the country, and primarily we're talking about ice here, but also dense fog and local flooding as well. So quite a bit to talk about here. I want to show you all the radar from perryweather.com. And let me put that as a full screen for you guys so you can see what's going on here. And you can see our boundary is draped from New Brunswick and eastern Maine right on down through northwestern Louisiana and the middle of Texas. Colder air is plunging south into deep South Texas. The moisture hasn't caught up with that yet. However, you can see that the bulk of the moisture here that was in Oklahoma yesterday, where we had some reports of thunderstorms with temperatures below the freezing mark, and temperatures in the low to mid 20s around Tulsa and Oklahoma City. And we had lightning strikes, believe it or not, just a very unstable air mass. That has shifted east of you for the time being. However, we've got another wave forming here in the Big Bend of Texas, and that is going to overspread freezing rain here today along and south of I-20, which will eventually expand northward back into Oklahoma and central Arkansas. Farther east, we do have some lighter amounts of rain. Fortunately for the Houston area, you've seen just way too much rain recently, and that will again pick up here in the next day or so. But the heavier rainfall is impacting areas across southeastern Arkansas, northern Mississippi, getting into Oxford, northern Alabama, including Huntsville, approaching Chattanooga and Knoxville, Tennessee. And continuing on north and east, we do have some freezing rain around Huntington and Charleston and other places in central parts of West Virginia, expanding east, and some light snow farther north in places like Clarksburg and Bridgeport, and affecting the Pittsburgh area. These amounts are a bit lighter, though. We're also seeing a little bit of light snow in southern Ohio, moving away from the Cincinnati area this morning. In the Northeast, we do see some light rain for the big cities and a changeover to a little bit of wet snow just north of New York City and affecting Boston. New York City, we've still not seen any measurable snowfall. We've seen a lot of dustings, but nothing that has really stuck to the ground yet. And I know for you guys, you want to see some snow. I also know what it's like when it snows in New York. It can cause a lot of issues. But do be prepared for some slower travel this morning if some of this does try to stick to the grass. I don't think it's going to be a widespread problem, though, but do be prepared for that this morning in New York City and the tri-state region, especially north and west of the city. Boston as well could have a little bit of a light snowfall here for the morning rush, and then up towards Bangor, Maine, and then getting into Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, seeing some heavier amounts of snow just south of Moncton, and staying north of Halifax for the time being, but that will change. St. John also seeing some accumulating snow. We'll see a few centimeters here this morning. So an impactful storm system that stretches from Texas to all the way Newfoundland. So we're talking thousands of miles here. And this is going to expand eastward. It will be a foggy morning out ahead of it, though, no question about it. Fog from just east of Houston through Jackson, Atlanta, Raleigh, Norfolk, Virginia. Out west, things are quieter, but we do have a storm impacting Southern Cal. It's raining in San Diego, Yuma, and just west of Phoenix, and that is going to continue to spin around the desert Southwest today before ejecting eastward tomorrow, causing bigger problems for Texas. Not that we don't have them now, but things will definitely be picking up as we get into the day tomorrow. So here is our winter storm severe impacts here. This is from the Winter Storm Severity Index, WSSI, and you can see an area of gray stretches from Maine right on down into New Mexico and Arizona, but the areas that are going to be most impacted will continue to be central and northern Texas, central and southeast Oklahoma, central Arkansas, western Tennessee, and maybe even sneaking into southwest Kentucky with moderate impacts expected here. Expect hazardous driving. We've seen accidents in the Dallas-Fort Worth area starting this time yesterday morning. It got a little bit icy around Fort Worth. Roads started getting pretty nasty. Now we could have things like power outages to deal with, extended temperatures below the freezing mark right on through Thursday morning. And obviously, with the amount of ice that we're expecting, some trees can come down and cause power outages. So definitely a good day to stay off the roads here in central and northern Texas. And things are going to get very bad as well around Memphis and Little Rock with moderate amounts of ice expected as well. So do expect that to be a problem. We're going to look at Weather Bell here now just to look at models for the next, I'll try to get this done in about 10 minutes for you guys. This is the HRRR. It's a higher resolution model. You guys can see the front here draped across South Texas and extending on northeastward, with the pink being the biggest problem. That's freezing rain. As we get through this morning, we can see intensities will start picking up again in northern Texas and across eastern Oklahoma and western Arkansas. This is 1 o'clock central. You can see that these amounts will continue to spread east, and we're looking at a moderate heavy rain event here this evening from Texas to Tennessee, and most of that's going to fall as frozen rain, freezing rain. We also have a storm out of the southwest that's going to eventually pump some more moisture northeastward, and that will produce freezing rain in the hill country and in San Antonio here overnight tonight, about 3 in the morning, and then expanding more towards Nashville, Tennessee, according to the HRRR. So could get a little bit icy for your daily commute tomorrow in Nashville. Same goes for northeast Tennessee, maybe not all the way to 81, but north and west. Places like Johnson City, for example, into southwestern Virginia, staying away though from Roanoke, it looks like. And then we may actually have a little bit of freezing rain and sleet just north of Richmond into far southern Maryland, a little bit of light snow even to DC tomorrow morning. Probably not going to be too much, but let me zoom in on that region and show you guys what the HRRR shows. I'm going to go into the Mid-Atlantic so y'all can see that. And this is 5 a.m. tomorrow morning. So just past this time tomorrow morning, we do see light amounts, but definitely a little bit of sleet could fall here, and that is going to expand southeast tomorrow morning around 7 a.m. into the Richmond area, into the northern neck, and into the Delmarva. So we can't really get a lot of snow, but we could definitely see a little bit of sleet out of this, and maybe it ends as a period of wet snow tomorrow morning in South Jersey, which has not seen any snow at all. So Atlantic City down to Cape May and southern Delaware could see a small accumulation of snow tomorrow morning. We'll also see light accumulations possible here tomorrow morning in downstate New York, Long Island, Connecticut, and Rhode Island and southern Massachusetts, as well as back here into the mountains. I'm going to show you guys this winter 24-hour snow total from the Cachera. And you can see while it is snowing, no accumulations are really expected once we get east of the mountains here. Once you get east of far western Maryland and south and east of the Poconos, nothing expected to stick here. So it's just going to be novelty flakes at this point. Nothing really expected to stick here either across parts of central and southeastern Virginia. Actually, let me zoom in here and show you the latest model so y'all can see. And you know what? I take that back. I showed you guys the wrong time frame. So according to the HRRR, we're dancing around the snow in the 5 boroughs. We may see a little bit, but nothing that sticks. However, we could see up to a quick inch of accumulating snow here very late tonight, first thing tomorrow morning from near Richmond, Virginia, up into like Stafford County, back to about Charlottesville, maybe even up to Harrisonburg. And then that expands eastward. It looks like the snow does not stick in DC or Baltimore or even Annapolis. But as you get a little bit farther south and east, like La Plata and onto the eastern shore, the HRRR at least thinks we're going to see maybe up to an inch of accumulating snow. And that'll be overnight tonight into first thing tomorrow morning. We could also see about an inch or so in the Hamptons and across the islands and Cape Cod. But again, New York City misses out. It looks like Philadelphia misses out. Trenton probably misses out. Could see just a tiny little bit. But South Jersey, I've seen a few of you that have commented, hey, where's our winter? You know, it may be a little bit of sneaky snow here early in the morning tomorrow. So as we get past that, we see that this it's a small area, but it will be impactful. So do expect to see some slick spots out there late tonight and probably most likely this time tomorrow morning. Here's our total snow from the Cachera, and here's what's wrong. When I load Weather Bell, it loads the latest model, and the HRRR does not go out past 18 hours except 4 times a day. So please forgive me. I messed that up, but certainly here's what we're looking at snow total wise here. So about an inch across just kind of a narrow band here, but that includes Stafford County, maybe Prince William, and the Northern Neck and Southern Maryland, and then extending offshore through South Jersey up into coastal New England as well. NAM model, as we get a little bit farther out, we can see we're dealing with this main impulse moving through Texas into Arkansas and Tennessee. The NAM says it's more likely sleet than freezing rain. I'm not quite sure I buy that, but I could see maybe it mixes. Obviously, if we have more sleet, we have fewer problems with coated ice, but it will still be frozen and temperatures will still be below the freezing mark. So obviously, we're going to have still some problems regardless of if it's freezing rain or sleet, but it very well could be one or the other or both at the same time. Either way, it's going to be nasty out there. But you guys can see here, this is tomorrow afternoon, and we have things picking back up here in Texas. And tomorrow night probably will be really nasty here in Dallas-Fort Worth. I don't think you'll be able to drive anywhere safely for the evening rush tomorrow in Dallas-Fort Worth or on west through places like Cisco, Ranger, all the way back into Abilene and even to the south of Lubbock and just to the north of Midland, Texas. Maybe even Midland, Texas, for that matter. So definitely tomorrow night, things will be at their worst here in North Texas. And I'll zoom in and show you all that so you can see it more closely here. This is what tomorrow night looks like. When we see a lot of pink, that is definitely going to be treacherous travel. A lot of freezing rain here, falling at a moderate to maybe even heavy rate. And I wouldn't be shocked if there were a few lightning strikes in here as well. It is pretty unstable aloft. So that's something we're going to have to watch for as well. If there is lightning, obviously that's dangerous, but also what that means is that our precipitation is falling more heavily. There's more convection to this, not just a steadier precipitation. There's kind of more instability, and that could lead to some higher rates of precipitation falling, just like you would have in the summer in a thunderstorm. It looks like our freezing rain does start to tail off here late tomorrow night, very first thing on Thursday morning. And by Thursday morning around 6 a.m. in Dallas and then eventually Fort Worth, temperatures look like they will finally start to get back above the freezing mark. It'll warm up in the morning and it'll still be raining, but lighter. And at that point, most of the region will be back above the freezing mark. Here's a European larger scale. You all can see wave number 1 moves through here, the northeast today into tonight. It does not have nearly as much snow, though, across southern Maryland tonight. Just something we're watching here at this point. It's showing rain, so it's going to be kind of close. But somebody in here is going to get a band of light snow, it looks like. Bigger problems are going to be coming tomorrow across Texas. And as this storm system moves through the Baja Peninsula into Mexico, we see mountain snow in Mexico, snow in southern parts of New Hampshire, and ice in southeastern New Mexico. And really, how often do we have an ice storm in southeastern New Mexico? I mean, that is super rare. So definitely something that's going to cause some problems here nonetheless. We see rain moving through the Carolinas. It'll be a chilly rain here. As nice as yesterday afternoon was, it's going to get a lot uglier here tonight, tomorrow morning as colder air drops south. Florida avoids most of the rain and it stays warm. Southern Georgia will see some rain, but here's the heavy rain tomorrow and tomorrow night over northeast Texas, northern Louisiana, central Mississippi, southeastern Arkansas, northern Alabama. And some of these amounts could be on the heavy side, so we could have localized flooding once again in the same areas. During the day Thursday, we're looking at heavy rain in southeast Texas, southern Louisiana, Baton Rouge, Hattiesburg, Macomb, Mississippi, getting to Montgomery, getting to Macon, Georgia, Thursday night, even into southern parts of North Carolina, raining steadily and heavy at times, as well as much of the Palmetto State here in South Carolina, right on through Friday morning. Then it looks like this storm will drop south, and we're going to see wetter weather across Florida as we get into Friday night, Central Florida, and South Florida on Saturday. It'll be a lighter rainfall at that point. At this point, we also have much colder air blasting into the northeast. I talked about that yesterday. The polar vortex here moving into Quebec and bringing the coldest air in 7 years to the northeast, especially New England, as well as into eastern Canada. I'm going to show you some temperatures here with that in just a second. Here's the snowfall from the European. We see pretty light amounts. The European thinks that it'll be snowing in Philly and in northern and central Jersey, as well as New York City, but not much sticks. The HRRR was farther south with the accumulation, so there's still uncertainty in what happens overnight tonight and first thing tomorrow morning. Will this happen around Philly, or will it happen south of Baltimore and D.C.? Or will all the people in Baltimore and Maryland, or I'm sorry, Baltimore, D.C., and Philly, who have been, kind of saying, are we ever going to have winter, ever going to winter? Maybe we're going to get a little surprise here and actually see a little bit of snow tonight and tomorrow morning. So if you are planning to travel to work in the morning tomorrow, just be prepared for potentially something on the ground here. It may not be much, but just enough to cause some potential issues. We see Thursday, not much snow on the map until our Arctic boundary moves south into really it's coast to coast here. We see accumulating snow from British Columbia all the way over to Prince Edward Island on Thursday afternoon. And then as this front dives southeastward Thursday night into Friday, we'll have some snow across Michigan, right around the lakes, snow belts, maybe not so much Detroit. We'll have some snow around Erie, Pennsylvania, northeastern Ohio. We'll have snow across northern New England and especially southeastern Canada. And even the Maritimes here by Friday night, we'll see some accumulating snow. The west will have another big storm moving in here at the end of the week with heavy amounts of mountain snow and heavy rain at the coast here on Friday and into Saturday as well. All right, ice. Here is the ice accumulation. We see a massive area pink from southeast New Mexico, western Texas, all the way up into West Virginia. And this is going to be probably our biggest ice storm of the whole winter, but it will be very impactful and will affect millions here. Expect power outages and dangerous travel right on through Thursday. As we zoom into Texas, I'll show you the accumulated freezing rain starts picking up tonight near Dallas, and then late tonight into tomorrow morning over central and west central Texas and Arkansas, southeastern New Mexico. You can see this blob continues to expand tomorrow evening and especially overnight tomorrow night into Thursday morning. And many places in here, according to the European, are going to get half an inch of ice in this corridor here, basically I-20 and on south and east. San Antonio is kind of right on the fringe, the north side of town, north of the airport, could see accumulating ice, and all the way back to the Trans-Pecos region. As we zoom over farther to the east, I'll show you all Tennessee here. I thought I had Tennessee. Oh, Kentucky and Tennessee. Sorry, I skipped y'all in Arkansas. Sorry about that. We see half an inch of ice or more expected here during the day today, and especially tonight and into tomorrow across central Arkansas, western Tennessee, and southeastern Missouri. A major ice event here across this entire region. And these amounts, they're going to fluctuate, but generally speaking, half an inch of ice is going to cause widespread problems. Farther east into Kentucky and Tennessee, amounts are lighter, but we definitely will have problems across western Tennessee, northwestern Mississippi, and across the western half of Kentucky, maybe all the way over to Lexington, and even over to just south of Huntington, West Virginia. I do want to show you all West Virginia. I feel like I skipped past you guys, but you're a beautiful state. We will continue to see some light icing amounts around Charleston, but most likely just to the south here of 64. I think it's 64. So Huntington and Charleston will have some light amounts, Parkersburg as well, but heavier amounts down across southwestern parts of West Virginia of some freezing rain. All right, and sleet. Don't want to leave the sleet out, even though it's going to be lighter. We're mainly talking about freezing rain, but there will be a little bit of sleet on the northern part of that area of freezing rain as well. And I showed y'all freezing rain. Let's talk about liquid rain. And a lot of this is frozen, but it is still liquid, meaning it's going to be counted as liquid, even though it's going to freeze on the ground. And we see the next wave of heavy rain expands from Texas to Tennessee here tonight and tomorrow. And then as we get into tomorrow night and Thursday, very heavy rain over the Arklatex region. Some of this will be ice for a little bit, and then heavy rain expanding eastward into northern Georgia, And then as we get to Thursday night, Friday morning, it'll be soaking wet across South Carolina, southern half of North Carolina, even far southern Virginia. And then as we get into the weekend, we see some heavier amounts along I-10 here from New Orleans to Jacksonville, and then spreading southward Friday night, Saturday morning into central Florida. But these amounts of rain are going to be pretty darn heavy here across the deep south. Let me show that to y'all here. Amounts of 2 to 3 inches of rain likely here on the national blend of models along the I-20 corridor and points just northward. And I don't want to leave out South Texas here either. Let me give you all a closer zoom here. Southeast Texas. And we see Houston once again gets hit with very heavy rain here the second half of this week, with another inch or two expected, and possibly more if we do get a thunderstorm in here. And there were areas underwater yesterday in northwestern Harris County with another inch or two. This is not what you want to see, but unfortunately it could be another issue for you. So around Dallas, around the I-20 corridor, 1 to 2 inches of rain. About a third of that will be freezing to the ground. So yeah, a very major storm impacting us here. Finally, let's look at temperatures. Here's the map today. We see very warm air in the southeast, very cold across the north central and Rocky Mountains region, and still pretty cold here across the interior of the northeast. Texas stays below freezing. I am going to zoom in and show you all this real quick here so we can see Texas. And you can see temperatures today are expected to remain below freezing all the way down to Austin, Texas, and back to the south and west of Midland, Odessa. While in the southeast, we're looking at much warmer air. So our front is draped right here over southeast Louisiana and eastern parts of Mississippi and central Alabama. A look farther east, and we see we're likely to see some more record highs set in Orlando today, 85. By the way, Jacksonville, Florida had their warmest January day on record yesterday. I think it was like 86 or 87. And today is still going to be pretty warm, but we have more fog to deal with in the morning, so that could hold our temperatures back a little bit. But today's highs are still going to be mild once we get east of the Appalachians. But as we get to tomorrow, we see that it's a much cooler day as our front continues to drift south and eastward, and it's pretty much parked right here across the Gulf Coast and over the middle parts of South Carolina. As we get to Thursday, it continues to turn cooler, but our front is still stalled here. Still very warm across Florida. Friday, it does start cooling off, though, across Louisiana and northern Florida, but record highs expected Friday over South Florida, as we'll be up to about 85 or 86 in Miami and up to West Palm Beach, and then it cools off over the weekend. By the way, it's going to be quite chilly here this weekend, with 30s expected in North Carolina and low 40s in South Carolina during the day on Saturday. A look back to Texas, and we'll see that, again, we're looking at 20s and low 30s for highs today. It does warm up a couple degrees tomorrow, but we stay below freezing across much of central and northern Texas. As we get to Thursday, finally, we crack freezing, and we're in the mid and upper 30s in Dallas and low 40s here across northwestern Louisiana. And then as we get to Friday and Saturday, a big warming trend. I did want to show you all the northeast. And we see that it's going to be seasonably cold here today and tomorrow, and then warming up into the 40s on Thursday. However, as we get to Friday, a big tumble in temperatures comes, and we see single-digit highs in places like Syracuse and Burlington, Vermont, teens on the coast here. Still above 30 in New York City on Friday, but that will take a big dive Saturday, where highs are not going to get out of the teens. With the polar vortex blasting that cold air in, we're looking at some very cold temperatures. In fact, nighttime lows here Friday night are going to be in the low to mid 20s in New York City, but single digits across New England. And then Saturday night's lows will be the coldest lows that many of us have seen in 7 years, with 5-6 degree low temperatures expected in New York City, 10 below zero in Worcester, Massachusetts, 10 below in Binghamton, 23 below here in the Adirondacks, and just some really cold air. It will not be quite as cold Saturday night, but still pretty cold. But then as we get to Monday, things very quickly bounce back. And I did want to show you all here the European temperatures and what it will feel like. These are the wind chills, apparent temperatures, not moms and dads, but apparent temperatures. As we get into Thursday, you can see here comes the Arctic air blasting southeastward from Canada across the St. Lawrence, and temperatures take a nosedive. It's going to feel like it's 40 below zero. So I expect to see wind chill warnings in effect here by Friday, and especially Friday night across northern New England, Wind chills in New York City Friday night will be as cold as 10 below zero, but it's going to feel like it's 50 to 60 degrees below zero across much of northern New England. I don't even know what Mount Washington is. I think minus 70. Just, they're equipped for it up there, the people that work up there. But nonetheless, we're looking at some very dangerous cold. So make sure that you make sure your pipes that are exposed are wrapped. Make sure you check on your neighbors, and I really hope you have working heat, because this is going to be brutal for us here. This is going to be similar to what the plains saw, right before Christmas time for us here in the Northeast in New England. Even down to like DC, we're looking at single-digit numbers as far as wind chills. Places like Lewistown, Johnstown, State College are going to feel like almost 10 below zero here Friday night, first thing on Saturday. So brutal cold coming, and I'm going to talk more about that. We just have so much to speak about, though, here weather-wise. But I appreciate y'all's time. Please like and subscribe if you can. Would prefer if you guys would support me and invite some of your friends to do the same. It means a lot to me. And so I don't only want to just thank you, but I want to thank God. And I want to thank Jesus Christ, who died for me so that I could have eternal life. I am a Christian man. And real quick, I did want to share with you all a verse, if you're still with me. And that is Psalm 23, a Psalm of David. The Lord is my shepherd. I have all that I need. He lets me rest in green meadows. He leads me beside peaceful streams. He renews my strength. He guides me along right paths, bringing honor to his name. Even when I walk through the darkest valley, I will not be afraid, for you are close beside me. Your rod and your staff protect and comfort me. You prepare a feast for me in the presence of my enemies. You honor me by anointing my head with oil. My cup overflows with blessings. Surely your goodness and unfailing love will pursue me all the days of my life, and I will live in the house of the Lord forever. And the part of this that I wanted to focus on was Psalm 23:5. You prepare a feast for me in the presence of my enemies. The Lord is there to take care of you and to save you from Satan, from the enemy, from enemies in life. And he is there to protect you and anoint you with oil. The Lord is continuing to be good to all of us, and every day is a blessing, even when we're struggling and even in the presence of our enemies. And honestly, I believe that the biggest enemy out there is time. If you are here on earth and you may not have as much time as you think you do, you really need to, arm yourself and equip yourself with the Lord and with his blessings and the grace that he gives you through his son, Jesus Christ. You may not have tomorrow. Nothing is ever guaranteed in life. For me, I'm constantly up against the clock, whether it be cutting back on my sleep or having deadlines for work or having family things or sick family members, older relatives, younger relatives. But nonetheless, our enemies are there and they're present. We may or may not see them, but they're there. But the Lord saves us from them through eternal life, John 3:16. And I just want to give you a minute to think about that and to thank Lord that you have the opportunity to have eternal life. And then time is no longer your enemy. You're there with Jesus. You're there in heaven, and you are there. And it's just a huge gift that's been given to you. So God bless you all. If you have any prayer requests, I'm happy to pray for you. I really enjoy having this platform to share what's most important to me, and that's not the weather, but that's the Lord, that's Jesus Christ and the Holy Word and the Holy Spirit. So thank you all for your time today. God bless you, and we'll talk again tomorrow morning. See ya.